Actually, I woke up this morning and I was so out of it. I've been sick this week with my allergies. The weird thing is, it gets warm in LA because of the Santa Ana winds, but the Santa Ana winds are coming in off of the desert and it brings in a whole bunch of pollen and so forth. So I've been sick, but I'm here this morning because I have a very important message. Actually, almost forgot about it. It's Saturday morning, but like I said, I've been sick. And it was only about 30 minutes ago I realized, damn, it's Saturday. I'm supposed to be on 9 o'clock. So I'm here, it's live. And here's what I want to talk about today. I had a friend that called me, and she has two adult sons, in the 30s or 40s, I guess. But both of them are now out of work, and she called me asking for a loan to help them out, and I refused. And now I'm getting to that point in my life where I just refuse to loan money. I don't loan money anyway because I found out the people every time I loan money, most people aren't going to pay you back. They figure, well, one, hell, you can absorb that, and I can't. So don't loan money. But the last thing I want to do is loan money to help a grown ass man that's sitting around hopeless and helpless. And you can get that way if you're dependent on a job. And the thing I want to tell everybody is this: teach your sons, and I guess it applies to your daughters too, but over my lifetime, I've watched guys, men, and if you got a 30-year-old living in your house, you need to get his ass out. You need to get him out, teach him to swim. Teach them to swim, and they can if you teach them not to be dependent. I have an 18-year-old, and the main thing because I'm an older dad, but the one thing I don't want my wife to do is, whether I'm here or not, don't teach him to be dependent on someone else's job, because I grew up in a family of 11 kids. 11 kids, I'm telling you. My dad never graduated from primary school. Think he said he made it to the fourth grade. Grew up way out in the country in North Carolina and never went to school. Learned to read and write in the military. Went to a WW2. So here's the thing: if you teach them to swim, if a man with 11 kids, Dave, if Dave could feed a family of 11 with no education, never had a job, never had a 9 to 5, but he worked all the time. So I called him. He was there long before Rick Ross came out with Every Day I'm Hustling, Hustling. Dave was hustling since I've known him. Since the day I remember him, I always remember you could never catch him at home in the morning. He was always gone, always gone. Had a little tiny farm, but he helped other people. And then I remember he had a thing. In North Carolina with all of those trees, we got in the pulpwood industry, cutting pines and taking them to the lumber yard was his thing. He had a truck, and he would get guys from the community to work with them, and they would cut trees and load them and take them to the market and come back. And then on Friday, Saturday night, he'd go around and he'd pay the guys. I remember he used to ride in the car with him when he'd go pay his guys. And then sometimes, like on Friday nights, they would bring all of their chainsaws because he had this way of sharpening the saws. You got to have sharp saws when you go out there in the morning because that's what they're doing. They're cutting trees all day. So the saws have to be correct. I don't know how Dave learned to sharpen the saws, but guys would be lined up on him, and then they would be smoking cigarettes and talking and so forth. But that was his job at night. So he was hustling from morning till night. He was every day I'm hustling. He would bring them in, and they would pay him to sharpen the saws. I mean, he never made a lot of money. Dave was dirt poor all of his life, and but he fed his family and he kept it going. And for us, I somehow it rubbed off by never seeing him have a job. I know it influenced the hell out of my family because all of my brothers own their own business. All of my sisters own their own business. And it's the only way it could happen because I look back on it. I said, how did that happen? It happened because the role model we had, Dave, he never really worried about having a 9 to 5. Probably couldn't have gotten, well, he could have gotten a job working at the markets or something, doing something, but he didn't want that. He was independent. He wanted to live independently. So that was his drive, is that I don't have to work. And he owned his own little 18 acres of land. And when he didn't like what somebody else told him, he was like, no, sir, can't do it. And he would go his own way. So the thing is, you want to always have something, but you want to have something of your own. But the main thing is here, the mindset that you can make it. I want you parents that are listening, and I want to share this with a lot of people. If I can, this is my message. Teach your kids to swim, especially your boys. And like I said, I have an 18-year-old. The main thing I had, he and his friend Nick, I gave them. Now this, I did give them a, a domain name and a logo to start a business because I want them at 18 to learn to do business for themselves. The first thing I told them is go online and set up the affiliate marketing for Amazon so that they can put together some things and market some products and start getting residual income while I'm teaching them other things. Now, hopefully, I could share something with your sons or daughters and that with the parent too, because the other thing that Dave had going is he didn't play around. With seven boys, the one thing as we reached teenage and we would do some things, he would say, go out and get your ass in trouble. I'll let you rot in jail. And he probably would, except for my mom would have probably been on him all day. Go get my son, go get my boys. But Dave didn't play, and it scared you to think that if you did get to that point, he would leave you out there. He would, because he said, I didn't teach you that. I didn't teach you to do these things and so forth. So I'm going to leave you there, let you learn your lesson. But the thing about learning to swim, if you don't teach your kids, it's the only thing you teach them: go to school, get a good education, and get out and get a good job. You know what they're telling them? Don't learn to swim. Ask if you can get in somebody else's boat. What happens when the boat turns over? They drown. They have nothing. I'm telling you, it's just, to me, it befuddles the mind to think that a person with a college education and they're grown and strong and so forth can't make it on their own, and they're sitting around. They got to go back home to mom and get the little room in the back, and probably bring their girlfriend or wife and stay back there and hold up. This is wrong. This is something is wrong. I've never seen how this happens until I really think about it. It's because of dependency on a job, and that's why my son, I don't want him to ever have a job. I really don't. I don't even want him working for me. And that's why I say I'm teaching them, and they were saying, "Well, how much are you going to pay us?" Well, I'm going to loan you money, and then once your company gets up and going, you're going to pay me back. Now, I could afford to give them, pay them whatever, and it's not really. But the worst thing to do is for me to start getting them dependent on me paying them, and then something happens to me. I'm no longer there, and now they can't swim. I'm telling you, teach your damn kids to swim. Teach them to swim, and they will be able to make it without somebody giving them a job all of the time. Because I've also had this kids that I hired, and I mean grown men, and then things aren't working out, and you terminate them, and they get really pissed, almost to the point that they want to fight. You know, one guy that was doing marketing, my wife was over the marketing department, and when we terminated him, and I handed him his check, where's your wife? I want to talk to her. I was like, who the hell are you? And like she's taking my job and my income, and it's not your job. This is my business. And we just gave you a job, but you didn't work out. Go home, you know. And that's the thing I'm telling you. People become dependent, and then once you pull the rug, or they get terminated, or sometimes the whole company that they're working for closes down. What are they going to do then? That is so important that you realize that this is not the way to teach your kids. And don't get into that thing just because it's go to school, get a good education, get a good job. And a lot of people are so proud. Oh, my kid, he graduated, he got a job with this company and they're paying him X amount. Very good. Hopefully that company keeps going. But what if the company folds? So you got to be creative and think of things that you could do and hustle. Whether I don't care, you give it. If you're standing out and you don't have anything, it might be worth picking up some damn plastic or something and going to the thing and trading those in. Learn to live and learn to swim. Learn to survive. That's the big thing. You got to teach them this. If you don't, they're going to be in some big trouble. So I've been thinking about it, and I think I read a little piece about Rick Ross, and then they had the Rick Ross is I don't know his real name. I read about it. I can't remember right now, but he got the name from Freeway Rick Ross, which was a big time drug dealer. But this guy happened to be a prison guard, and then he looked at this guy's story and turned it into something. And the real Rick Ross tried to sue him for that, but the judge said this guy took not only the name, but he created something all on top of it. He made it more than what you are, so you can't really sue him. He was so creative genius. I love it. I applaud this guy because he took something he took something that was nothing. A guy who was already in prison, he thought for the rest of his life. I think he did get out. However, the thing was to take that and create a story. And the story that he created, he told the story in rapping and with music and lyrics and rhythm and so forth. And it became a hit and it just kept going. So this is what you have to do. You got to be able to think, I can swim. And the only way you're going to do it is that somebody teaches you. I'll tell you a crazy story. I grew up in the country, way out in the country. It was too far. Well, we could go in town. I live outside of, we grew up outside of Kinston, North Carolina. And there, to go to the swimming pool, you have to go all the way in town and blah, blah, blah. So there was a swimming hole or that we used to go to, like a pond and so forth. And we would slip down there, and our parents didn't know, but when I started going down there, I couldn't really, of course, I couldn't swim, and I wanted to learn. This guy that was in high school at the time, I was young, James Earl, I can't remember his last name, but James Earl, I didn't like him, and he didn't like me. So he was like, I'm going to teach you how to swim. So all of a sudden, he just grabbed my feet, snatched my feet from under me, and I'm trying to do that. And he was like, swim, damn it, swim. And you kept, I'm trying to move, keep my head up. And then I go underwater and he snatched me back up and he says, swim. I think he was just trying to punish me or whatever. But I did get the thing of, okay, if I do this, I can stay on top. And I actually learned something from that. Not that I liked him anymore, from doing that, but it became a thing I learned to swim. And sometimes you got to take the hard road. You got to be hard on your kids because otherwise, like I said, this parent friend of mine, she's ready to go back to work to help her sons. And moms, I know you love your sons, and that's the thing. Sometimes it's too much love. The reality is, you almost have to be think of it like the animal kingdom. At some point, you have to destroy the nest, and they got to fly. They gotta fly. And Dave used to tell the story about the eagle. After a certain point, the eagle just destroys the nest, and it's time for them to fly. They gotta go. At that point. And that's the thing. If you put that in the mind of your kids when they're young, and you really start pushing it, they will learn to swim, and they'll be happier for it because they'll have some independence. And then wherever you go, whether you leave the country, go to another country, once you can swim any damn where. It's the thing of getting into this thing of and understanding that it can be done. And it can be done at any level. And the thing doesn't just happen. And the reason I'm saying this doesn't just happen to kids that whatever you're doing. Even dentists. I know a lot of dentists that are, you know, the associate employee dentist. and it's good. You really need those. You can't make it without having somebody associate. But the thing, if what if that was to happen? Something happened, anything. Like I'm left-handed. I have a broken bone. Got to have surgery in my left hand. What if that happens? Then, the only thing you can rely on is disability insurance, or if something you happen to lose your license. You got to be able to swim. You got to be able to say, well, I could make it doing anything because it's something that once, and I don't think it's anything that's genetic or inherited. It's actually the culture that you build. So it's nurture. Listen, nature, nurture. I think it's nurture. If you nurture your kids and you teach them from early on that they can make it. And like I said, for me, it was just watching a guy that had no education, feed a family of 11, but every day he was hustling, every day. And people make hustling to be something that's associated with drugs and so forth. Uh, where I grew up, hustling was just meaning that you're out there doing something to pay your bills, to feed your family. You got to do that every day. You're hustling. Every day I'm hustling. And that's the thing that I see. And of course, if Rick Ross was a drug dealer and he made millions of dollars every day, he was hustling. But you don't have to be a drug dealer to be a hustler. A hustler is somebody who's going to get it. And if you got 11 kids, you got to go anyway. There's no way you can stay in the bed, have 6 o'clock daylight, catch you still laying there. You got to keep moving. And not that everybody has to work that hard, but very few people have 11 kids. And but the thing is, a lot of people are dependent on the job that somebody else working for the man, and when you could be the man, and they could be working for you. And I don't know. This just came to mind because I get so many people that are asking me about help, or that I watch and I see these guys staying at home with their parents and they're 40 years old. And I just think that, or even dentists or whomever that can't make it unless they're working for somebody else. I know a lot of times there's a lot of volatility in being out here by yourself and trying to make it on your own. But I've lived this life, and I've just depended on me, and not, I depend on the creator to guide me. But I've always said, the reason I got into dentistry is because of the opportunity that it offers for someone to be in business for themselves. I want it to be like Dave. I think he would be proud of me if he was around. He would just, he died when I was in college, but I think he would be proud that, damn, he made it, to doing it, not just making it as far as that, but I'm saying even just starting a business. My older brother, Dave, started once he came out of school, worked for DuPont for a few years, and then he started his own business. Uh, Later, my one of my younger brothers, he finished college. He worked a couple of years, then he joined them in the business. And then another brother, and they started, Lanier Construction, and then later a sister and another brother. So, and then they bought the older Dave out, and now the company keeps going. Then younger brothers, sisters, they started their own businesses, and it just they never. I don't think it's a thing of we're going to start our own business. They're going to start. It was just a way of life. It's just a way of life growing up and just never really thinking this is the only way I can make it if somebody gives me a job. So today, the only thing I'm really talking about is just being a job creator and having that independence. Learn to swim and teach your kids to swim, damn it. Teach them to swim. Don't tell them you got to go out, get a good education, get a job. It's a good thing to have that push, get a good education, but do know that that's not. Look at the people who are already unemployed, have an education, walking around helpless and hopeless. That's what gets me helpless and hopeless. From I'm telling you, I can't really fathom having that kind of education, and then you're hopeless and you're sitting your ass at home and asking mom to help you and call me or help somebody when you could be out doing anything. You could be hustling. Every day you're hustling. And like I said, if you can't find anything else, hustle some damn plastic bottles or anything. But don't beg and don't wait and sit around crying that you can't make it because you haven't really tried. Even like told my kids, uh, the thing with the YouTube, I mean, not YouTube, Amazon, the affiliate marketing. That's so easy. You just find some products and they'll pay. I think it's about 30%. You make a video and if they someone clicks your link and they buy the product, then you get paid 30%. That's ooh, I love something like that. And if you ever want to really start learning how to hustle, take a job where it's commission only. Commission only jobs will make you hustle because then you realize if I don't sell, I don't eat. If I don't do this, I don't eat. But if I do, and if I do well, I can bring in a lot of money. And that's what I think is all about the hustling. I love it. I love it. And that's the only song I know by Rick Ross. I happened to travel to Atlanta once when I was marketing at my previous company, and I was buying a lot of ads on Power 106, and they had a big concert in Atlanta. They flew us out there to see, and I think Rick Ross was associated with the Puffy thing back then, and the whole group. But yeah, it was a good show, and then I saw him again in Beverly Hills. But the only song I know is "Every Day I'm Hustling," and but it made an impression on me. I was like, damn, he sounded like he been listening to Dave. I mean, really, think about it. You gotta be hustling. And if you can teach that to your kids, I don't know, you may not have kids, or you may have a brother or sister who needs that. But just tell them and share this with some parents that you know that have these sons or daughters that are the thing the sad thing though is this once and this is and I'm just throwing this out, uh this is just based on observation for me over the years. Get them before they turn 25. After 25, you start getting diminishing returns preaching to somebody over 25. Because unless they're already going down that path, most of the time this familiar territory that they're used to, it's hard to pull them back in off of that. So you have to get them early on, change the mindset, let them know, I want you to swim. I want to teach you to swim. I want you out here, and I'm not going to be able to bail you in every time. I can't bail you out. It's like you have to do it on your own, and that is so important. I'm telling you, if you can teach them to swim, here in America, then they could go any place in the world. And that's why a lot of times people come from different countries, and as soon as they get here, they hit the ground and they're getting traction. Next thing you know, they got everybody working for them. Why? Because they already knew that before they got here. They said, well, I'm just a hustler. When I get there, I'm going to set up this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to get some people to help me. And that's why you can go get bigger and bigger. If you don't have other people working with you or and I don't like to say working for you because when people say, well, I'm working for you, no, you're not. You're working for yourself because whatever money goes into your pocket, you're not sharing that with me. You're working for yourself because if they start thinking they're working for me, then it kind of cripples them. You're not swimming, you're in my boat. No, you're doing this. And a lot of times you could work with me for a lot of years. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. I am. I'm sick. Like I said, I've been sick for the past 3 or 4 days. Got my big box of clinics here, and I'm just. But I commit to once I say I'm going to do it Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. I'll do it if I'm in the bed. I'm going to just do it as long as I can. And excuse me, not a good look, but I'm passing this message along. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep it up, but I'm putting it out there and I'm just saying what's on my mind now, not trying to be coy or anything with anybody. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm tired of seeing these young men. And the reason I keep saying men is because with women, I just haven't really I don't pay that kind of attention to it. But when somebody is asking for something, or I see them sitting around and they have a grown man in their house and he should be out doing something, and they're saying, well, he's kind of he didn't make it enough. I don't want to hear it. I really don't. I don't want to hear the excuses. Somebody, and I know a lot of times guys are raised by a single parent, and it's mom, and moms have a lot of love, and sometimes it's too much love. You know, it's just you have that love, but somebody has to tell them when you hit 18, you're a grown man. And excuse my language, you got to tell them you're a grown ass man now, and you got to get out and swim. You got to swim, and you start telling. Don't just wait until they're 18. Got to be like Dave. You start telling them that when they're 10, 12 years old because you want them to know when you hit 18, it's time. It's time for you to part the nest. Either you go off to college, you can get a job or whatever, but you need to be able to swim and make it on your own. So you start early. You start really bringing this thing home and letting them know, I'm not going to be allow you to just inhabit that room. Either you're paying rent here like you were paying anywhere else, or you can get out, and swim. And don't expect once you do, I'm kind of padlocking your room. Go and make it on your own. Do something, and don't just depend on the man, because the job that the man has is his job. He can give it to anybody, and then you're out there crying and so forth. I know this is not really dental, and most of the time I'm talking about dentistry, but today I'm talking about something that's close to my heart, and I'm hoping that I can help somebody. And I know it's harsh, I know, but sometimes you have to say the things that really, and hopefully some of the people that will hear this can take it to heart and pass it along to their kids. If and if you want more on it, I swear I'll talk about it, but I know it's hard. It's hard to hear that you love your kids too much. You love them so damn much that they're not doing anything because they're dependent. Mom, you've been cooking and feeding me for all of my life, and all of a sudden you're saying I got to get out and do things. Well, you started late, and if it's not a single parent, then I'm asking you, fathers, where the hell were you? Did you not understand that you have to start teaching them something early on? And you could say, well, my son, uh, and I hope he makes it. But if he doesn't, I'm like, Dave, you got to get the hell out of here. You got to go. Because I love, and even, my son is in college across town, really. It's about a half hour away, 45 minutes. He comes home on Thursday and he spend, but I miss him just when he leaves on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday during, he's away and he comes back and I miss him. But not to the point I want him here. You got to go. It's 18, and regardless of what my wife says, he got to get the hell out of here. He got to go and make it on his own. He has to swim, and I have to start teaching him early on. You can do this, and if you don't, then there are consequences. I send him to do this thing. Set up your affiliate marketing. Come to me, and we'll set up this company, and you guys are going to work it and push, and then you're going to get it. And after a while, they start to believe it. They start to believe it. That's important. They have to believe that they can do it. And of course, there are going to be some lumps and bumps in the road. It's supposed to be difficult. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But I'm not sending you out there to do what's easy. I'm sending you out there to be different. Don't get stuck into the same old, well, this is what everybody else is doing. And then when the market turns down or whatever, and jobs get tough, and right now we don't know where things are going. But you know what? Regardless of what the administration does or the economy does, so forth, I'm not worried, and I don't want them to be worried, and I don't want you to worry because if you know how to swim, you know how to swim. And it doesn't matter if the water is deep, very deep, or shallow, you're still on the surface and you're swimming. So that is my message for today. Teach your kids to swim, damn it. That's to you. That's to me. That's to everybody. Just remember, Rick Ross today. Every day we're hustling, hustling. Every day I'm hustling. If not out working, I'm thinking. Well, what if I do this? And right now we just in my company, we had a few rough spots, But because I've been around this thing and doing it for a long, long time, I was telling my niece who's taken over the CEO position, I'm stepping down as CEO and moving to just the position director of uh, of this thing, and just helping them guide them to the next thing, and then really taking over the job of transforming my son into that independent thing. So the thing, when we had a little rough spot, she said, "Well, it doesn't seem to bother you that much." No, because what? I'm working a process. I have a process in place, and sometimes it takes a little while, and sometimes it could get lumpy and bumpy. But because I'm working my process, I've already baked that into the cake. I know it's going to be some rough spots, but I know in the end, when my plan is it reaches that point, it's all going to be really kind of smooth. They're always going to be, because I don't know what's around the corner. I really don't. But I know this, I'm not dependent on the other guy. I'm working my plan and I stick to my game plan. And if you come up with a good game plan, let me just mention something about that. I do mention this quite a bit to dentists and so forth, is that every plan, before you start out and put all of your energy, your money, and everything, uh, have your plan vetted. Really think it through, because um, and don't just ask your friends, because your friends are going to say, "Yeah, what a great plan! I like that." No, take it to somebody who really scrutinize it, because you have a very you want to have your plan vetted, and if you really go deep into it, a lot of times you find, wow, that's not really that smart. But what we do, we fall in love with a plan because it's our plan. It's our plan. I came up with this myself. This is something I came up with. But don't get married to the plan. Don't get married to whatever you come up with, your invention or anything. If you run into a brick wall on the plan, be willing to go around that. Leave them, even if it's a brand, if it's a name or whatever. You got to, because your job is to keep hustling, keep moving, keep going every day. And if you run into something that is a bad that's stopping you, just because it's your plan, because a plan and an idea, it becomes like our baby, and it's like, ooh, I love, this is my baby. But what if something happens? Don't get married to the plan. Get married to the success of actually going all the way and achieving your goal. Don't make the goal is just, I'm stuck to this plan. No, the bigger thing is, did I have success trying to reach the destination? The destination is really what the goal is all about. Now, the plan is just strategic or tactical. You can have a strategic plan of getting to a goal, and you can have some tactical plans of actually achieving those strategic plans. But all of those are just to help you achieve a specific goal. And once you're doing that, you're going around all of the other things that are out there to try to impede your progress. So learn to swim and teach your kids to swim. I'm like I said, I'm sick as hell. My asthma is starting to kick in, my allergies, and I don't know, may have some flu or whatever. But that's about all I'm going to say today. Hopefully, I was too far off of what you guys was expecting. But teach your kids to swim. Thank you so much. Enjoy, you guys. Thank you. Bye.